Good evening. I am Rajkumar, the General Manager of the Hindu Tamil Thisai distribution end. This pleasant evening, we are going to have a webinar on, on the occasion of the Vigilance Awareness Week, jointly presented by Indian Bank, Hindu Tamil Thisai, on the topic for this year of the Vigilance Awareness Week 2021 is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. Most importantly, every citizen in India should be aware of the rules and regulations and how do we conduct ourselves. With this in mind, every public sector organization will drive their own agendas through various occasions, through various modes on different platforms. Today, this webinar is being conducted on the eve of the Vigilance Awareness Week 2021. I would first want to tell you a few words. Why is this Vigilance Week at all conducted? It is the birthday of Vallabhbhai Patel, whom we are celebrating, and this week we have the entire country will have awareness drive, outreach programs, schools, children, public, staff, and everybody to know as to what is the vigilance that we need to follow, why we should be doing with values and integrity. On this occasion, let me now, with happiness, present this webinar is being sponsored by the Indian Bank. And while we had the discussions with Indian Bank, they were very keen in spreading this across the country. Thank you, Indian Bank, for giving us this opportunity. As a media house, we disseminate information in print. Now, this is an occasion beyond online that we were able to get this opportunity to present this webinar to the entire fraternity, which will be a repository in the online of the Hindu, or it will be a repository in the Hindu online. With these few words, let me now introduce to you Sri Shenoy Vishwanathan V, who is the Executive Director of the Indian Bank. Sir, it's our privilege to have you here amidst us and deliver your inaugural address. Mr. Shenoy Vishwanathan is a graduate from Mumbai University and has joined as a probationary officer in Union Bank of India on 17th January 1985. He is also an associate member of the Indian Institute of Bankers and successfully underwent one-year management educational program conducted internally by the Union Bank of India. He is a career banker for the past 35 years. Some of us who are aged 35, it is his experience for us. He has worked in branches in rural, semi-urban, metro, as in various capacities. He has also been in the administrative offices in the different geographies of India as a regional head, vertical head, branch head, and whatnot. I am sure with this 35 years of his experience, sir, you are a repository of banking information. He has worked in different verticals to mention credit, vigilance, transactional banking, credit policy, MSME, large corporate. It's a 360 degree that he has been with 35 years in the banking industry. Was a core member in the verticalization and centralization of credit functions and is also a nominee director on the board of Central Registry of Securitization, Asset Reconstruction and Security Interest of India. I have pleasure in welcoming you, sir. Sir, before you deliver your welcome address, Sir, welcome. Sir,
Thank you.
sir, dais is yours. We have two guests along with me. One is Justice Dr. Justice S. Vimala, and we also have Dr. Sharath. So on this occasion, I would request our Executive Director to inaugurate this webinar with few words. Sir, dais is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all. Good evening to all of you. At the outside, thank Mr. Iyer for inviting me to participate in this particular session. I feel immensely happy to be a part of this online awareness program organized jointly by the Indian Bank and one of the leading and reputed dailies, that is the Hindu. It's a matter of privilege for us to welcome you all for this program, which is organized as a part of the Vigilance Awareness Week that we conduct each and every year. Indian Bank has its root to our country's Swadeshi movement and was established on 15th August 1907. That is, it's a coincidence that 40 years down the line, India gained its independence on the same day. At that point in time, the bank was established by the founders to fulfill the long-felt desire of our countrymen to have a trustworthy bank of their own. It's a part of the Swadeshi movement. Since then, Indian Bank has been touching the lives of millions of our citizens through its dedicated services spread over 5,900 branches. The most striking aspect of the bank's functioning is the ability to change the ways of delivery of banking and financial services in tune with the requirements of the time. In the days to come, the focus will be more on digitization of the services so that the customers, by sitting in their home itself or on their way itself, they can do the banking services. As our nation celebrates its 75th year of independence this year, we at Indian Bank feel proud that the bank has made significant contribution to the socio-economic development of our nation in more ways than one. Indian Bank continues to be a forerunner in contributing for the growth, progress, and development of India with inclusiveness as its main agenda. Indian Bank is now in its 115th year of service to the nation as an enlarged entity from 1st April 2020 with the amalgamation of Allahabad Bank, which is one of the oldest banking institutions set up in the country in 1856. After the amalgamation, we have got over 20,000 delivery channels, touch points, and we are able to give the services to the customers on-site as well as off-site. Today, Indian Bank is the seventh largest bank in the country in the case of public sector banks, and its aspirations to scale up further in the ranking. It's a matter of great pride that Indian Bank is the only PSU bank in the country that has been posting net profit year since 2002 without any break. The financial standing in terms of capital adequacy, profitability, asset quality, business growth, and all of the key parameters is among the best in the industry. The financial results of the bank for the Q2 of the current financial year, which were declared yesterday, has surely enthused one and all, including the shareholders and the stakeholders of the country. The consistently high degree of customer and investor confidence, coupled with the zeal, sincerity, and commitment of the 40,000 plus workforce, will certainly enable the bank to scale new peaks in the days to come. Indian Bank will continue to remain accessible to every citizen of the country, will be transparent in its operations, in line with regulatory norms, will take every effort to ensure that the security of the public money, which we hold in trust, customize the products and services in alignment with market needs, always try to be spearhead new initiatives, through a tagline, your own bank, always with you. Coming to the program, I'm really happy that at a time when we need to lay greater emphasis on honesty and integrity and probity in public life, using the observance of Vigilance Awareness Week, this web address by two experts in their respective domain has been organized. Madam Justice Vimla, retired judge of Madras High Court, was the first judge of the Mahila Court, Chennai, in the year 2002. First woman to become the director of a state judicial academy in India in 2006, where she introduced computer-aided teaching. Justice Mrs. Vimla has a vast experience in judiciary at various levels, author of books, and has delivered lectures at various centers of repute. There cannot be a better personality than Justice Madam Vimla to share her views on honesty and integrity during this Vigilance Awareness Week. As regards Dr. Sarchandra Babu, he is the Executive Director, Society for Electronic Transactions and Security, Chennai. He has over 4 decades of experience and expertise in research and development, project implementation and coordination, education and training. At a time when the world is more and more digitalized and major portion of banking operations are taking place in digital mode, digital security assumes greater importance. Both the providers of digital services and the users should be aware of the do's and don'ts in a digitalized environment so as to protect themselves, their data, their money, etc., from unscrupulous elements who are likely to intrude for pecuniary or other gains. As a premier bank, Indian Bank has consistently been taking efforts to safeguard the interest of every customer's account. And for this, we have a dedicated information system and security department headed by CISO with a team of officials possessing the requisite knowledge on possible security breaches and the ways to avoid them. In this context, the address by Dr. Sarath will be of immense value to all the participants of this program. I assure everyone that Indian Bank will continue to provide the best of efficient banking services in a trustworthy manner. With this, I leave this forum to the 2 guest speakers for sharing their views, experiences from which the participants can have valuable takeaways. I wish everyone all the very best. Thank you and good day to all. I hand over back to
Rajkumar.
Mr. Rajkumar, please.
Sir, thank you very much. At this time, when you are celebrating the 150 years, it is very great to have you there, and it has been wonderful to open the session with the 2 personalities. And when the banking sector is definitely taking a wide and an important role. Sir, it's an opportunity for us to showcase the digital movement along with you. Thank you for the opportunity once again to the banking officials who have been behind us to put this program one and all. Thank you very much, sir. May I now go and get into the program, and let me first invite Dr. Justice S. Vimala. Welcome, madam. Our executive director made my job very easier in telling your profile, but still I would have the privilege of introducing you to this august audience. Born and brought up in a village. Village is what we consider as the last where we are, which has no electricity and transport. A BSc chemistry graduate, Sita Lakshmi Ramasamy College, Trichy. BL from Ambedkar Law College, Chennai. What else needs this women here? ML, Dr. Ambedkar College, Puducherry. Has been the presiding officer of the Special Court for SC/ST, Labor Court, Family, Industrial, and she has been at all levels in all capacities, and still, till date, she has been in the media and in the forums where justice is denied and justice is replied back. Child rights is a matter of special interest for Madam, and she has attained the doctorate in the juvenile justice while being the sitting judge of Madras High Court. Madam, today's world, the moment that we put your name, people Google and they will come to know about what profile you are in. So I would not want to take much of your time. So I would want you to now have the address delivered on this occasion where the Indian Bank and the Hindu Tamil Thisai is presenting this. But a word of matter that I would want to tell is that when I approached Madam and said, Madam, I want your time on date, she said, yes, you two people are important. One, money, the next, media. M&M is important, and hence today she is here. Welcome you, Madam.
நேர்மையாளன் உலகமே கிடைப்பதாயினும் பழிக்கத்தக்க காரியங்களை ஒருபோதும் செய்வதில்லை. அதுதான் நேர்மையாளரின் சிறப்பு. அவன் தன்னுடைய கொள்கைக்காக எதையும் இழக்க தயாராக இருப்பான். ஆனால் எந்த ஒன்றுக்காகவும் தன் கொள்கையை விட்டுக் கொடுப்பதில்லை. லஞ்சம் வாங்குபவர்கள் யார்? திருட தைரியம் இல்லாத சிலர் பிச்சை எடுக்கிறார்கள். பிச்சை எடுக்க வெட்கப்படுபவர்கள் திருடி விடுகிறார்கள். இந்த இரண்டையும் சேர்த்தே செய்ய நினைப்பவர்கள் லஞ்சம் வாங்குகிறார்கள். இந்த இருவருமே இந்த உலகத்தில் இருக்கும் பொழுது உலகம் என்ன யோசித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது? நேர்மை தவறாமல் வாழ்பவர்களை விட நேரத்துக்கு தகுந்தாற்போல் வாழ்பவர்கள் தான் நிம்மதியாக வாழ்கிறார்களோ என்று குழம்பி தவித்த இந்த நேரத்தில் நேர்மைதான் வாழ்க்கையின் ஒரு முறை என்பதை இந்த உலகத்திற்கு சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற இந்து தமிழ் திசை ஆசிரியர் அசோகன் அவர்கள், இதை ஒருங்கிணைத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற ராஜ்குமார் அவர்கள், கிருபாகரன் அவர்கள், சங்கர் அவர்கள், இப்படி வரிசையாக எல்லோரையும் சொல்லிக்கொண்டே போகலாம். எல்லோருக்கும் இந்த நேரத்தில் என்னுடைய இனிமையான வாழ்த்துக்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். இந்த இணையத்தில் என்னோடு பேச இருக்கின்ற எக்ஸிகியூட்டிவ் டைரக்டர் சரத்சந்திர பாபு அவர்களுக்கும், மிக அழகாக துவக்க உரையாற்றி இருக்கின்ற ஷெனாய் விஸ்வநாதன் அவர்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய நன்றியையும் வாழ்த்துக்களையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். Indian Bank is a special bank because it has the name of India itself within that bank. Therefore, it is right that it has joined with Hindu in propagating the message that integrity is a way of life and corruption would demotivate and it will destabilize India. I congratulate the Hindu as well as the Indian Bank who is supporting this event. First of all, where does this corruption begins? Corruption in other language means it is dishonesty. Honesty and integrity is one thing, and the opposite of it is corruption. Where, what, and why of corruption? A small example, because a small example at the basic level, because all people around this country may be witnessing this event. A little girl asked her father, "Daddy, what is corruption?" He says, "Go, bring me a beer bottle and I will tell you." But mommy said you should stop drinking. He again says, "Get yourself an ice cream too while you bring me that beer bottle." She says happily, "Oh, okay." This is what the corruption begins. We are now talking on the theme Self-Reliant India with Integrity at 75. We are now, our memory should go back to the place where before independence, who were our leaders, how are they, and how they were able to get independence for us. When Gandhiji was asked, what is the message from him? Just Gandhiji used to say, "My life is my message." I thought this single statement, "My life is my message," will be sufficient to begin the presentation as well as to end the presentation, because he is the personality with complete integrity. But for the integrity, independence would have been an impossibility. The purity in him was able to make him say that my life is my message. What is our stand? When Gandhiji was able to say my life is my message, what we are going to say? We can't say we will be corrupt. We cannot say that, because in the Constitution of India, with a preambular pride, with the opening sentence, "We the people of India," we the people of India, what we have given unto ourselves the Constitution of India. And the Constitution, while speaking about justice, social, political, and economic, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and the integrity of the nation. I repeat, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. We have promised ourselves that we will be with integrity, both individually as well as collectively. We, the people of India, would ensure integrity of the nation. Already we have promised, it is a constitutional promise. Constitution is our fundamental basic law. A constitution is the living law. Therefore, we can't go behind that. Along with this, when we talk about independence, we would also recollect that independence was achieved at a very considerable price. We can't disregard our freedom fighters' sacrifices. Countless freedom fighters lost their lives, and we have got only because of their sacrifice, we got a country to live very happily. Therefore, when our leaders have fought for the independence of the country, what for we stand now. At the time when the independence was obtained, Jawaharlal Nehru said, at the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. India will awake to life and freedom. What is the life? It is the successful life. Rajkumar sir rightly pointed about Vallabhbhai Patel, when he's speaking about the success, he said, non-violence has to be observed in thought, word, and deed. The measure of our non-violence will be the measure of our success. See, non-violence was not only a tool for obtaining independence for India. Our leaders expect that non-violence should be there not only in our thought, it should be in our word, it should be in our deed. Maybe, and for the word it may be easy, but to have non-violence in thought itself is extremely difficult for many of us, and for the deed also it is very, very, very difficult. Though it is easily said, honesty is the best policy. There is a difference between small and subtle difference between integrity and honesty. Spencer Johnson explains this difference saying, integrity is telling myself the truth and honesty is telling the truth to the other people. Integrity, in other words, is choosing our thoughts and actions based on values rather than the personal gain. Integrity means doing the right thing at all times, in all circumstances, whether or not anyone is watching. It takes having the courage to do the right thing, no matter what the consequences will be. This is what is integrity, and this is what is expected. We will see what will happen if we are not following integrity. Honesty is more than not lying. It is truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving. This is a statement of James E. Fast. I repeat, honesty is more than not lying. It is a truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving. This is what is expected of us. The supreme quality for leadership is therefore unquestionably integrity. Without it, there is no real success possible, no matter whether it is on a section gang, a football field, in an army, or in an office. Anywhere and everywhere it is needed. What is corruption? People have understood, and we ourselves sometimes understand that obtaining money alone is corruption. It is not so. It is also abuse of the entrusted power for private gain. This corruption erodes trust, weakens democracy, hampers economic development, and further, it exacerbates inequality, poverty, social division, and environmental crisis. We should expose corruption and hold the corrupt responsible only if we understand the way in which the corruption works and the system that enables that, how the system is facilitating that. Only those who are with the corruption can be a better person with a good reputation, at peace, and they can be confident, and they will be the admirable people, and most importantly, the reliable people. We relied upon our leaders, our ancestors relied upon their leaders because of their integrity and not for otherwise. Uh, Integrity, people with integrity never fails to admit their mistakes, and therefore they feel free to sleep. I would like to share with you an incident that happened when Gandhiji was prosecuted on the charges of sedition. When he started Quit India movement, and prior to that he was non-cooperation, this civil disobedience movement he was propagating, he was arrested and he was put on trial on a charge of sedition. The entire audience was expecting that being in the capacity as the father of the nation in the mind of the people, what the judge is going to say about this. The judge said justice should be in accordance with the law. Broomfield was the judge. He said, I'm just reading his observation. The law is no respecter of persons. Nevertheless, it will be impossible to ignore the fact that you are in a different category from any person I have ever tried, I am likely to try. It would be impossible to ignore the fact that in the eyes of millions of your countrymen, you are a great patriot and great leader. Even those who differ from you in politics look upon you as a man of high ideals and of noble and of even saintly life. I have to deal with, by his own admission, has broken the law and committed what to an ordinary man must appear to be grave offense against the state. As one of the contemporary accounts of the trial, he noted, for a minute, everybody wondered who was on trial, whether it was on Mahatma Gandhi before a British judge or the British government itself before the God and humanity. That is what was the public opinion. And ultimately, he said, I do admit my mistake. If you feel that fighting of your person against the foreign country who has invaded and fighting for a country whose independence I am fighting with, if you consider this as an offense, yes, I have committed an offense. Please convict me. Please convict me. Convict me. Give me the maximum sentence so that message will go to the public that there is a movement called independence movement. That is how our leaders have been fighting. That is how our leaders have been working. And the present policy of self-reliance, normally it equates Swaraj as spoken to by our father of the nation, Gandhiji. The word Swaraj is a sacred word, a Vedic word meaning self-rule and self-restraint, and not freedom from all restraint, which independence often means. Swaraj for Gandhiji means freedom for the meanest of the countrymen. It means for our Gandhiji national education, that is, education of the masses. It means an awakening of the national consciousness among the masses. It will not spring like magician's mango. It will grow almost unperceived like the banyan tree. This is what he was expecting. When self-reliance is spoken about, when Gandhiji spoke long about Swaraj in a village, starting with, then it is not our endeavor, not our hurdle to ask for the government, because already both the government, both the central government as well as the state government has spoken about the requirements of self-reliance. Our Honorable Prime Minister has said the government of India has 5 eyes ready to make India a self-reliant economy. The intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation. They are utmost importance to make self-reliant India. And if any client is taking 2 steps, the government will be taking 4 steps. That is an assurance given. The government has already pointed out that it has done major reforms in labor reforms, agricultural reforms, allowing private companies to take part in strategic sectors, commercial mining of coals, and with these reforms, government is hopeful that the fundamentals of Indian economy will be more inclined towards growth. Painting the roadmap for economic growth, our Prime Minister has said, yes, self-reliant India is about strong enterprises, generating employment, and empowering people to come out and find solutions. That is what the central government is expecting. And added to that, the self-reliant India, the government is also focusing 4L, namely land, labor, liquidity, and the law. I need not expand that because everybody is very familiar with that. I have a duty to mention that the efforts taken in Tamil Nadu also. Made in India. This is the echo that should be heard along the entire world. This is what our Honorable Chief Minister has said. According to the Honorable Chief Minister, growth of industrial sector does not mean growth of industrial sector alone, and it means every sector is growing along with the industrial sector. In other words, if industrial sector is growing, that means every other sector is growing. Asserting that the state has resources and versatility to grow manifold in terms of exports, Chief Minister has said that government was aiming to make, quote, make in India, make in Tamil Nadu, to every nook and cranny of the world. The government goal is to increase the state exports to US dollar 100 billion by 2030. This initiative envisages expanding the capabilities of MSMEs through intensive training and support and equip them to scale up their businesses and become part of the domestic and the global supply chains. When we are talking about the government, which we ourselves have brought into existence, about the efforts taken by them to make people self-reliant. When we talk of integrity in terms of the ability to do right things and non-violence in terms of thinking, I would like to, for the benefit of the younger generation, the integrity with which a girl aged about 16 by name Greta Thunberg was able to speak in a conference relating to climate change. Her name is Greta Thunberg. She says, there was a conference in Glasgow, Scotland, aiming to secure pledges by the world's nation to limit the global temperature from rising more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average. In just 3 years since she started skipping school on Fridays to promote alone outside the Swedish parliament, she has become a global figure, giving voice to her generation's fury at the world's failure to tackle a problem known about for decades. She said, I quote, "You are failing us." This is an address to all the world leaders. You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say, we will never forgive you. See the courage, see the integrity with which she was able to put these statements before the world leaders. She mocked the world leaders in a speech to youth activities in Milan, saying, building back better, blah, blah, blah. Green economy, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Climate neutral, blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words. Words are great, but so far that led to no action. See the integrity with which she is able to put forth things. Whatever was in her mind was coming out completely. Nowadays we see, but when we send a message to them, to any of our friends, before the message reaches, supposing there is an indication that there is a message coming, immediately there is a symbol, clap signal will come. Before ever they read, they send back the messages for response. This is how the integrity is with the netizens, and not to speak about anything more about the daily conversations. When we see people face to face, they say you are great. Before we turn right side or left side, they say what hell you are. This is how the unfaithfulness or dishonesty is there in human relationship. And for the future of the entire world, how she is able to speak about the climate change. This is the kind of courage and this is the kind of faithfulness. This is the kind of foresightedness which we expect from the younger generation so that we will remain sustainable. When we talk about this independent India, self-sustained India at 75, this is very, very crucial at the time when we are taking measures for COVID-19 preparedness and response. COVID-19 has made life upside down for many of us. Um, uh, the problem suffered by all of us is innumerable and uncountable. At this point of time, I will make two earnest requests to our guest from the Indian Bank. Uh, People are not able to continue the education of their ward, even where both parents are together. That is one part. And the second part is when people women who have suffered domestic violence have remained separated from the families are finding it extremely difficult to continue the education of the children of whom they have given custody. These two groups are entitled to priority, and I would request the Indian Bank Chief Executive Director to consider the request of these two groups with empathy. This is time I want to make this request. Then when we talk about corruption is doing so much and integrity is giving so much of benefit, then the next question would be how to combat corruption. Why corruption has to be put on arrest? Corruption has a disproportionate impact on the poor and the most vulnerable, increasing cost and reducing access to services including health, education, and justice. Corruption in the procurement of drugs and medical equipment drives up cost and can lead us to substandard or harmful product. The human cost of counterfeit drugs and vaccinations on health outcomes and the lifelong impact of children far exceed the financial cost. Unofficial payment for services can have a particularly pernicious effect on poor people. The World Bank Group considers corruption as a major challenge to its twin goal of ending extreme poverty by 2030 and boosting shared prosperity for the poorest 40% of the people in developing countries. What are the three factors that is mainly contributing for the combatment of corruption? That is, firstly, the set of values, the individual's sense of values. Secondly, the set of social values. And thirdly, the system of governance or administration. I will just highlight the value which the Tata Group has towards the employees at the time of pandemic. It's a very, very beautiful statement from Tata Steel. Tata Steel stands together with a deep sense of loss at the sad demise of its beloved employees during this dreadful pandemic. For all the yesterdays they have devoted to help create a beautiful tomorrow, Tata Steel's best-in-class social security schemes will help ensure an honorable standard of living for their families, whereby the family will get the last drawn salary till 60 years of age of the deceased employee or nominee, along with medical benefits and housing facilities. See the beautiful statement. They have worked yesterday to create a beautiful tomorrow. They have considered the contribution to be made. They also said, in addition to that, for all its frontline employees who, as a part of their job, met with unfortunate death due to COVID-19, the company bears all the expenses of their children's education till graduation in India. The company has always been a shield of steel, supporting its stakeholders at all times. This time is no different. Tata Steel family stands stoically with all its people, committed to their security and well-being. If this is the kind of treatment to the employees by any companies, there will be no brain drain to the foreign countries from India. This is how the integrity demands that we should treat the employees only like this. Then coming back to combating corruption, there are several solutions of which people are nowadays aware, and I would like to just point out only one or two. The first solution is that the citizens should fight corruption more strongly. In the past, the perception was that a citizens will have to bribe a public servant if you want to get a benefit which was illegal. But today, we have reached a stage where even if the legitimate requirements are to be satisfied, citizens have to bribe. This is the thinking. This is the way in which things are happening. This is the way in which things should not happen. People nowadays are earning too much, but they don't feel that it is enough to earn for himself. They feel that they should earn for the generations to generation. They want to earn for their grandchildren and the great grandchildren, and like that for several generations. They don't even have the money here, and they take the money elsewhere, and it is not even useful for the developmental purposes. And the one more problem with us is having red tapeism, leading to delay in everything. There will be a rule which says that it should be disposed of within 60 days. Several 16 days will come, several 60 days will go, and the things will be remaining in the same place. Simplified forms and procedures are essential to avoid the part of the intermediaries. We had value-based leadership. We have value-based leadership, but there should be the intensity and the degree of the values to be based should be more. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. Suffice to say that media has a great role in combating corruption. They have the strategy of building public opinion against corruption, which can be implemented through them. It is very easily. And as a part of it, when the Hindu is doing this program combating corruption, it may not be proper for me to speak or place more emphasis on the role of India. Suffice to say that media has a role for the purpose of others also to follow. One other effective way of curtailing corruption is to start from the election methods itself. In countries like Germany, Norway, Sweden, and some other advanced countries in Europe, they have a system of official funding called electoral funding. They would get it in a very bona fide, transparent manner, and they will be repaying it. Or the government itself will finance those elections through an election fund, which they have a methodology by which they can get it also. They'll be able to get back. And that system is working very well, and we can also try that. And before I part with, I would like to place before you the contribution made and the sacrifices made, one at the social level relating to their professional duties, and one sacrifice at the individual level. And with that, I will close that. You all will recollect, it was during the year 1975, emergency was declared and all the fundamental rights were remaining suspended. The issue before the court was when the person was arrested under Maintenance of Internal Security Act, whether the fundamental right could be suspended. The matter went up to the Constitutional Bench of the Honorable Supreme Court. And out of 5 judges, 4 of them held that during emergency, the state has got the right to suspend the fundamental rights. The only dissent voice, the lone voice, was that of Honorable Justice H.R. Khanna. Justice H.R. Khanna held that the state cannot suspend the fundamental rights. It is popularly known as ADM Jabalpur case. The importance, there might have been several cases like that, we having the majority opinion and a minority opinion and all. But this is a case where this judgment was at the cost of Justice H.R. Khanna losing Chief Justiceship of the Supreme Court of India. He has mentioned the same in the book called Neither Roses Nor Thorns. It is an autobiography. He let loose the Chief Justiceship of the Supreme Court, but he kept the honor and integrity of the Constitution of India. That is the pride of place for him and the pride of place for all of us to claim that we had such judges who was at the cost of losing the Chief Justiceship of the Supreme Court was upholding the fundamental rights of the citizens. When we have such kind of judiciary in place, there may not be any difficulty for us to be self-reliant. It is quite easy to be self-reliant. One that example, and the other example is Jenny and Karl Marx. In an individual life, I started saying that how the conversation between the child and the father was, and where the corruption begins, knowingly or unknowingly, wantonly or unwantedly, and with awareness or without awareness. This is the kind of problems which starts in the home itself, where the home should be the place to combat corruption. In the case of Karl Marx and Jenny, we all know that Das Kapital is the contribution by Karl Marx. And Jenny used to remark that it was one book which was written under the most difficult circumstances which no other book would have suffered. They have almost lost 3 children on account of the poverty. But for Engels, a friend of Karl Marx, but for the support of Jenny, who was always feeling that what may, whatever happens in the family, whatever happens for their poverty, the book must be completed. Karl Marx have said, Jenny is love and love is Jenny. The love has contributed and love has made me to claim that I have contributed something. Otherwise, I would have been a very normal person. If a sacrifice by a single woman in a single family could lead to create a world leader, Karl Marx, who said, well, let us unite all the laborers in the world. They have nothing to lose except the chains. See the beautiful statement. A single person was able to unite the whole world, unite the laborers of the entire world. They see the integrity with which a person could call the whole lot of laborers in the entire world. This was possible because of the affection and understanding that was given in the family. In a family, if a small incident like this, a small, can't say sorry, small, but it is a big sacrifice. It is but an affection that could make world leaders, that could make the person to contribute for the welfare of the world. Why not this self-reliance and impossibility? We are all, I can very proudly say that Indians by and large are bit honest. They have lot of values. They pay much respect for the integrity. This is inborn in them. Our leaders have shown lot of leaders with a lot of examples for us. They are the role model for us. It may not be difficult for us to be honest. Therefore, we will take all steps to eradicate corruption, combat corruption, and with the integrity, it may not be difficult to fulfill the dreams of this year team. And I thank the all of them who are hearing me patiently. And I thank once again the Hindu especially and the Indian Bank who is hosting this event. Thank you very much.
Madam, thank you. Volume of information flowing down spontaneously. I didn't have time to write as to while you were speaking, but I can tell you that truth loving, leadership with integrities, with or without supervision, make in India, MSME trust, the 5 I's, the 4 L's, and your two perspectives on asking the banks to consider is worthwhile, and with emphasizing slowly by telling media has the more responsibility, and hence we take back that whatever you have spoken, madam. I am sure our executive director would want to comment on this. I will invite you, sir, please.
I think whatever the point Honorable Dr. Justice Vimla has told, we'll surely look into it. Mainly that the educational loans of the two groups will look with the empathy. Rest assured, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
The case details I'll get it from the department. And secondly, even internally, madam, we give more importance to integrity and probity in public life, because ultimately we are holding the public money in trust. The depositors' money which we are kept with us with the trust, they are keeping it with us, so that whenever they need it, we should return it back to them. So we give huge importance to the vigilance in day-to-day administration. We have got a CVO who takes care of that particular aspect. We have got an internal mechanism of where our staff members can blow the whistle. The whistleblower policy is there, wherein if anything wrong is happening in any of the branches, or if any of the persons, any of the staff members are doing something wrong, there is a way where they can make a complaint through whistleblower policy. and no one will come to know who has made the complaint, so that the bank can take immediate action and prevent, or at least see that the losses and the reputation risk which is involved is kept to the barest minimum. As regards to the general public, again, we have got this public info. We have got this PIDPA resolution, wherein the Public Interest Disclosure and Protection of Informers Resolution Act is there, through which they can make the some complaints, and which will be disposed of without coming to know who has made the complaint. Rest assured, madam, all these aspects will be taken care of. Thank you for your wonderful insights which you have given it, and surely we'll abide by it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you. Thank you for wonderfully articulating it and spontaneously coming out and taking the giving out your feedback, sir. Thank you, madam, once again from the Hindu Tamil Thisai. Kindly wait, madam. At the last, if we are having any questions, I believe we can take those questions, madam. Thank you. Yeah. Now, may I invite, welcome Dr. Sarath, our next speaker, who is the Executive Director of Society of Electronic Transactions and Security, Chennai. Welcome, sir. Let me introduce.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. Let me introduce yourself. Dr. Sarath obtained his PhD from IIT Delhi. He has considerable experience over 4 decades in research and development, project implementation, coordination, education training. I'm sure with this wide experience of 4 decades, he is the best fitting person in today's digital world with cybersecurity project management to be definitely taken care. He has led the team of experts in arriving at a feasibility study report on India's microprocessor. Prior to joining SETS, he has worked as Executive Director, CDAC Bangalore, and he is the founder of CDAC Hyderabad. He has worked at the Department of Electronics, Government of India. Presently, it is known as MET, M-E-I-T, METI, at various levels. He has contributed to the digital exchange while working in Indian telephone industries at Bangalore. His contribution wherever he has worked, his name is still there. He has worked as a faculty at the REC Warangal, presently known as the NIT Warangal. He is responsible for a lot of R&D initiatives in the area of cybersecurity, IoT for smart cities, software for national supercomputing mission, and whatnot. Sir, with your day-to-day activities moving in digital, you have been the responsible for conducting many national conferences. That is why today, while Corona has hit us, still we request you to deliver an address wherein how do we combat this problems and how do we take it forward. Patiently, we would be waiting to hear from you and then take the questions for both of our guests. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Rajkumarji. Honorable Justice Vimala Madam Avargal, Executive Director Indian Bank Sri Shanai Viswanath Avargal, and Sri Rajkumar Avargal and the team, Kirupakaran Shankar Narayanan from Hindu Tamil Thisai, and all participants from Indian Bank and various public sector unit banks attending this important event being organized jointly by Indian Bank and Hindu Tamil Thisai. It's an honor for me to be here, especially after listening to Honorable Justice Vimala Madam about the self-reliance and integrity with so much of passion to the topic. So I was really spellbound what exactly I should speak now, because I have been thinking of talking on technology and self-reliance with some experience that I had over a period of time. So I stick to the plan I had. We are all here, and it's well understood the self-reliance, Atmanirbharata, as our Honorable Prime Minister has indicated, is the need of the hour. COVID pandemic has given us kind of a challenge, a lot of tragic things, as Madam has told. In addition to that, we were also able to come out of certain problems. You say it is in health, which is a main difficulty, or say education. These are the two main areas where overnight all the technologies have started helping, to reach the patients and to reach the students. And the day before, we were telling children not to use mobile. Then the next day we said you use mobile because there is no other way to get connected to the education. So this is the kind of a situation, an overnight transformation, and our leaders were well thought of what is the need of the hour even before the pandemic. So the digital India is a kind of a slogan which is actually taken very passionately, and yeah, every walk of life, every uh, citizen, common man should be getting the quality of life which is getting through the technology. The objective of either you talk about Danjan Yojana, or you talk about smart cities, or you talk about any program, behind that the technology was mainly to enhance the quality of life, right? So this is the kind of an environment we were, and we are looking at self-reliance in technology is an important step, because the today entire world, the on depends on two things: the electronics and IT technology, and the resulting data. People talk about data is more value than oil today, and most of the companies are making a lot of taking advantage of the available data, and there's a lot serious efforts from government and various organizations to bring data protection law, so that the people whose data is unknowingly being used for various purposes, how do you channelize that and use it for better purposes? So the kind of self-reliance here, if you talk about the when every domain is becoming technology based, that too digital India. So whether you talk about health, we are using the remote diagnosis things, telemedicine kind of tools are being used, and education, e-learning tools, MOOCs platforms are being used for studies. And you talk about finance sector, the finance sector and banking sector is the most highly the technology has penetrated in almost all aspects. Today, I think most of the people stopped going to the bank. Earlier, going to the bank is an important activity for every citizen to take care of his payments or getting the loans or whatnot, everything. But today, the technology has helped everyone to the get the quality of life and convenience. I'm not saying that it has reached every part of it. There are issues like you talk about the infrastructure issues, you talk about the affordability of technology, and there are so many aspects. So when this technology is available, being digital technology, we are also having problems. That is, the cyber security has become an important thing. Way back, we were talking about computing for all. Okay, that was the main slogan, because the computers are penetrating every direction. So computing for all was what we spoke about. Today we are talking about cyber security for all. When I say cyber security for all, it is an individual, it is an organization or enterprise, or it is a nation. And globally, global leaders are also coming together to look at how do you tackle the cyber security issues, because there is a cyber terrorism. There is a state actors acting against the interests of other nations and stopping even the economy and all those aspects. And once again, coming back to the banking sector, so because the financial frauds are growing time and again, even yesterday we heard about some KYC provider who was identified by SEBI. Was the some researchers found there is a vulnerability in their system. Had that vulnerability fortunately was not exploited, had it been exploited, 3 to 4 crore people's data related to the other various other things would have come, credit card numbers, etc., would have come to the light of the some people who has the malicious intention. So this is the kind of a world we are living in, and of course, every day we see attack. Every day we talk about somebody suffering from cyber attacks. So it is an individual. Surprisingly, there is a program initiated by Ministry of Electronics and IT called as Information Security Education and Awareness. So what it says that how do you, one is the education, talks about how to introduce security courses in BTech, MTech, PhD levels, and also there's an awareness program. It is the awareness to housewives, school children, school teachers, and NGO organizations, to various walks of life. How do you create? There is a short half a day workshop you create and see that they are all aware of cybersecurity related problems, and how do you safely use your mobile, how do you use safely your gadgets which are connected to the internet. So the objective of awareness is how you safely use. Unknowingly, many things keep happening. I was just being a cybersecurity organization, some of our team members with a kind of social responsibility took up the challenge of cybersecurity education and awareness drive as part of, inspired by this ISCA program, Information Security Education and Awareness Program. We wanted to connect to the schools. We started with some pilot schools, started with some Sarada Vidyalaya in Tamil Nadu, Chennai, and we started with the Atomic Energy School, Kalpakam. So the teachers as well as students attended. So our colleagues have personally told that, okay, this is the kind of, you should tell. For example, don't, click the links that it comes through your SMS or emails from unknown people, and make sure that you hover around that and see that it is from a reliable source and so on. But so what happened? So he also, our colleagues also told that it is not, because we are telling you, you may not be looking at the financial things. Your parents may be doing that. So better you tell your parents also. It's just I wanted to tell this with the permission of my colleague, the colleague who has actually talked about this. Next day, he received a call from his wife stating that she lost 20,000 rupees from the bank. So what happened? She also received an SMS in her phone telling that if you don't update your KYC, you will be your account will be blocked. So first time she ignored, second time also came, she was in a worry. So this is a social engineering attack happened. So she is also educated, but the attacks do happen this way, and this proliferation of various kinds of cyber attacks, which are affecting not only we think the rural population may be getting affected. No, it's mostly happening in education, well-educated citizens of India. So the need of the hour is getting a good awareness program. This is exactly what happens in the banking sector as well, because most of you are from the banking sector. So, and you are actually having very high responsibility. One is you yourself have to follow the you yourself should get trained on the awareness aspects, and in addition to that, you also have to create awareness among your customers, because it is dealing with the money, hard-earned money of the customers, and any simple mistakes that we do, maybe using simple things. I will tell you, like if you use a simple password, or you write password somewhere, or no, you share the password with some colleague. So these kind of things may result into some problems. I'm just giving a small example only. So this is something because the world, as key thing we are talking about is the self-reliance and integrity. Integrity, as Madam has given number of examples, I don't need to go back to say what is integrity. It's a very well foundation she made to all of us. See, the one good thing I remember is over a period of time, there is an APAR, that is personal appraisal forms every year. We'll normally used to call confidential reports every year we fill. In that, there is a thing that as a reporting officer has to give a mark to one thing called as a integrity of the employee. So the people put 80%, 70%, 90%. Integrity, can it be 80%, 70%, 90%? If somebody is corrupt 10%, can we call him is 70%, 80% good? So it's a big question. So we always thought that integrity is a digital. It's a 0 or 1. Your manasa vacha karmana, madam clearly said, by thought, deed, and action, you need to be that integrity, corruptlessness, all these things have to be followed by a human being. So the integrity is considered an important thing for any employee, and whether it is from government or a private sector, anywhere. So we look at that is an important thing. In cybersecurity also, there is an integrity thing. I'll just give you very briefly few issues that come. Normal flow is two computers, let us say, on a network. They may be connected in the world anywhere. One could be mobile, one could be a computer, or one could be mobile, another could be tab. Your friend may be using a tab, and you are all in different continents, and you are talking. What is your objective is, you assume that you and your friend are directly connected. So that is a normal flow of communication. But what happens is, when you are talking, there is a possibility that somebody, man in the middle, is able to listen to that. Okay, the technologies, the hackers we call, right? So they would be able to listen. So when they talk, when they listen, you are losing the privacy, and you are losing the confidentiality of your information. So you need to address this with a confidentiality solution. So people talk about encryption, decryption, that is cryptography comes into picture. So where you use some key, and your information over the communication channel will go with a as a ciphertext, and other side you decrypt and bring back your text. Text, I'm just telling, it could be voice, video, text, or any form of data that is flowing over the communication. So one problem that is, if man in the middle attack, somebody is listening to, assuming that these crypto algorithms are very strong, they cannot be broken by a hacker, because today we have very powerful algorithms. Okay, so you call them symmetric algorithms, or you call them asymmetric or public key algorithms. So there are very good algorithms. I don't want to go into many algorithms here. At this point of time, popular AES 256 key, people say that it will take ages to break that, even with the supercomputing supercomputer that is going to come after few years. But those things are coming slowly down, with an idea of quantum computer is expected to come, which will have exponential power compared to the normal computer. So double exponential power, exponential to the exponential kind of a power is expected. So the technologies are growing. There is always a challenge. Cybersecurity is what we are concerned. Let us say self-reliance is in need of the hour. The nation is looking at. I told I was part of a team of experts leading them to arrive at a feasibility study for India microprocessor. The need is, as I told you, everything is becoming digital. That means everything needs devices. Every device has one component, that is a microprocessor. But we don't produce microprocessors. So the lot of money, electronics, whatever you get, the imports, whatever you get through exports is drained out by buying the components or the devices with these components. So the need of the hour was to develop indigenous microprocessor, right? So the government has put some efforts. Now IIT Madras, Professor Kamakoti and team has developed a Shakti processor, which is an indigenous processor. And similarly, CDAC Trivandrum is developing a processor based on the feasibility study that the professors and various, in fact, industry also involved in that. So this is where we have to see the self-reliance in technology. If we don't build our own microprocessor, we are all continually dependent on other countries, and you do not know what microprocessor has. Till other day, we were thinking cybersecurity problems come from operating system vulnerabilities. That is, Windows has a vulnerability, Linux may be having vulnerability. Now we talk about Android has a vulnerability, iOS has a vulnerability. But these are one side. And then applications on the web application, right? So vulnerabilities can happen at various levels, and security issues can come. You are closing one gate, other gate opens. So because they are always looking for vulnerabilities, it is easy for them. You do not know through which gate they will enter into and hack your system. So the defending is a big game. It's a kind of a game between a hacker as well as the defender. So at this point of time, what I'm trying to say is the hardware was always considered to be reliable by all of us, like microprocessor and all. We thought that it will be free from attacks. But today, the issue is even the hardware, the microprocessor from the famous popular giants is the people are able to attack, because the microprocessor designer always went with how to increase the computational power. The computational power means, like, you wanted to find the medicine for TB, and you want to do the drug detection for various cancer. You require research for that. Lot of computational power required. Even today, for cryptocurrency, you need a lot of computational power. So the computational power requires. So mind of the processor designer is always how to enhance the performance of the processor. But they, while doing that, they have unknowingly kept certain places where some information which is secretive is also available. And if you attack that particular memory area, you will be able to release the keys, that is through which they can actually decipher the encrypted systems, encrypted things. So this is just, I'm giving as an example how a technology which is considered to be reliable or also can get into the problem. So we need be reliable. You want to build a processor, we need to have an integrated circuit fabrication facility. We had way back in the 80s, we started very well in Chandigarh Semiconductors Limited. Still it is there, but it's in a very small way. It's well, the technology is going through few 4 nanometers, 7 nanometers. We're still talking about 180 nanometers technology. Okay, that is just tells you the size of the number of components it can take on a single silicon wafer. So this is a kind of technology needs. That is, if we want to be self-reliant, we cannot be buying things and then connect the systems. That is one way. Okay, I build the systems, but that is not end of it. You should go to the core and make sure that the China today is self-reliant because they have gone into the microprocessor technology. They are world-class leaders. Today, supercomputing, they have crossed in US, one of the fastest supercomputer they had. It's all because they spent a lot of energies and money, and they had the NRIs, non-resident Chinese who were technology people. They came back and helped the country. I think in India also it's happening, the drive of getting the people back and this thing happening. I just took a microprocessor for the self-reliance, because self-reliance can happen if we develop such technologies on which we otherwise depend lifelong, generations. So the need is that one. So when you talk about microprocessors, then we can talk about today technologies like artificial intelligence. You know that AI is now the big name, and everyone talks about it. Whether it's a politician, whether it's a bureaucrat, whether it's a technologist, it's a common man. And a common man looks at it with awe, but at the same time worried that because of that technology, we lose jobs. Because AI is expected to be automate totally. Human being, if it has a human being intelligence and it is able to do what all human being does, how do we, go further? But we cannot, shy away from such technologies. You see how developed people who will gain skills, because India is a very popular country in terms of IT. We are IT supergiant, and this is because of we are quite brainy chaps. Indian madam also said that Indians have the integrity, such things. If you think about, Indians are in the forefront. So this is even the brainies, right? We talk about zero was found in India and so on and so forth. So if you look at that, we have the late great scientist Ramanujan, just to name one great mathematician world ever produced. Even today, whatever Ramanujan papers which he has written directly not the problems, he has written the solutions. It is still amazing how Dr. Ramanujan has thought of those problems way back, and at a very young age he could even find the solution. But now people are working back on his papers, and still the research is going on. Those are even connected to today. Some of these solutions are even connected to the cryptology, connected to the big data kind of things where it could be useful. So we have great brain jobs like that. We had great engineers like Moshagundam Seswaraya, right? Sir Moshagundam Seswaraya ji, who has constructed the dams and all big way and created a wave of expert civil engineering expertise. But today sometimes we feel we are still dependent on the architects and all that abroad. It's really not necessary, but we have that interest to get connected abroad. I'm not saying that we should not depend on or we should not take the expertise, but we should not undermine the expertise that is available in our own community. This is an important thing. The self-reliance doesn't come by just making few components. Self-reliance should also respecting people, our own people, allowing. That's what is happening now. I think we can see the Prime Minister talks to, if somebody has a novel idea and if it comes to his knowledge, he immediately calls and talks to them. The other day we had WeeK, the 225 IQ, Visalini from Tamil Nadu. She is considered to be world's 225 with a 225 IQ, world's third best in IQ and India's topper in IQ, who has done as an young kid 13 international 18 international courses at the age of 10 to 13, and a kid who has spoken 10,000 answers she gave for Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission questions at the age of 2 years. So this is the kind of thing she had. Honorable Prime Minister called and spoke to her and appreciated her. So this gives, I'm just telling small few examples which actually motivates the people, and people are behind. Right? When I talk about cybersecurity attacks, who is the main responsible thing? Why attacks are happening? It is the strongest link is people, weakest link is also people. All attacks, if you see background, it is the negligence of the people. Most of the time the attacks have happened knowingly. We know that we should not get attracted to various things that come to today. Information flow is so much, WhatsApp messages or your emails, everything, a lot of lucrative things would come. We get with knowingly we go and click and get trapped into the problems. And we keep passwords with my daughter's name, my wife's name, with some 123 is a standard, so people can easily break. Password tools, breaking the passwords with the 8 characters is baaye haath ka khel hai. That is a very simple thing. Even a child can do that today. So this is we need to the awareness on such things are very important. Now the attacks like phishing attacks and spear phishing attacks are happening more. I think COVID pandemic has created an opportunity for the people who are hackers. They are not even having the sentiment of not affect. People are already affected with the pandemic, so we should not disturb. Though even that level of social consciousness is not there. They attacked at that point of time to the gullible people, and phishing attacks through the mails, providing the links and getting the details of the personal details, and spear phishing where you directly target Sarath Babu. Okay, he's an executive director sets and he has this and he has that. He worked there, here and there. So based on that, they will do the spear phishing. Targeted attacks they do. So we think that okay, it's very genuine and it's all my information is coming. So I started under such a situation sharing my information. And banks are very every day almost we receive. We don't ask you to share your PIN numbers. We don't ask you to share your passwords. Everything, they are very systematic. In fact, one thing I would like to appreciate is the banking sector is the one, in addition to the health sector, has geared up during the pandemic. They have done tremendous service to the people, because you see, the people need money and they cannot keep money with them. Salaries will get deposited in the banks. If bank people also say that we are working from home, and working from home is not possible because there's money involved, they have geared up. They have started using the VPN solutions from a distance, and they were able to mostly, even though there is a technology supporting them, still people have come to the offices. Many people got affected due to the COVID in the banking sector, which probably We know health people, they are getting in connected, but I saw many of the banks where my colleagues, my friends, and distant known people, a lot of people got affected. This is a kind of a situation we are all in. So what I'm trying to say is the technology is a double-edged sword. One end you can use it for good things, other end we have difficulties. And banking sector is a very prime area. It is helping the people, and the technology, when we are digital India, every walk of life, smart cities, everything is becoming smart, and we have Alexas at home. You don't need to do anything. You just wanted to listen to Madam Subbulakshmi's music, it will come. You want to listen to some pop music, it will switch on to that. So all these kind of things are possible now. The life is in a way smooth, but there could be some dangers unless we follow the precautions and all that. So I feel there is this program. I think all banks may be having their own training programs. It's not a one time I train and do. It's a dynamic. Cybersecurity affects the things are happening dynamically. Where earlier we were talking about having a firewall and antivirus. Today we talk about intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems, web application firewalls, and whatnot. So many things, maybe 20 to 30 devices. And most of them, thanks to technology, they are integrating into UTM, integrating all those technologies. In fact, SETS has developed an integrated technology, threat management appliance connecting to 10 to 12, 18 functions. So it also has a data leakage monitoring. It also identify the applications, what applications it is doing, whether some important data is going out of the organization, is there any exfiltration, and is there any intrusion happening. So all those, including firewall, everything, next generation firewalls, and so on and so forth, we are using. So the technology is bank people have a double thing. You have to be IT savvy, and you are using technologies. At the same time, you are also protecting the customers. And I think when cloud computing came, you all know cloud computing is cloud. Somewhere somebody is maintaining your infrastructure, your applications, your system software, everything somewhere. Okay, even cyber security requirements also as a service. Everything as a service. Cloud is something where you get a service for everything that you pay. So it's an infrastructure. Computers you don't need to buy. You can have a thin client, a simple terminal. There is no need of high end. So these kind of things were possible. But everyone doubts, because cloud is someone is managing. How do I trust it? So there is now. So when it has come, the IBM chief, I remember, I said, okay, this kind of a thing will be there in the bank also. How can I trust the bank which is keeping all my money? Okay, so what happens if something happens there? So same thing is with the cloud now. Cloud, centrally somebody is protecting your infrastructure, applications, everything, and probably you can't take care of the security of your organization, but cloud provider can provide. Only thing is he has to assurance. Auditing is an important aspect in the entire thing. Whether you talk about the banking networks, you are talking about the core banking software technologies, or you talk about your own secure operation centers, cyber security operation centers, or you talk about your own incident and event management softwares, SOAR, that is secure orchestration and automation response. So these are all things one has to look at. So the banks have to be always kind of dynamically, they keep change too. Fortunately, we have a very, very dynamic Reserve Bank of India. They have the arms like Revit. They have an IDRBT for research. They have IFTAS for the technology and allied services. All these organizations are consistently, continuously helping all banks and making the policies required for the government, for the all banks, and they have to follow what RBI is doing. So that way, we have a very strong, infrastructure and ecosystem near to bank. In general, also for cyber security, we have the NCSC, National Cyber Security Coordinator, and we have the NTRO for the government angle. We have the other organizations like the critical infrastructure protection becoming important. NCIIPC, National Critical Infrastructure and Information Protection Center. So this reminds me that the most earlier it was all computers, IT was attacked by this cyber security. Today we have to gear up. The attacks are happening on OT, that is operational technologies like for process control systems. It could be a plant, nuclear plants. It could be power generation plants. It could be some other chemical plants. So there we thought that this is an independent network and you have an internet not connected, but the attacks are happening through a supply chain attacks. You must have heard about the sunburst attack happened through a supply chain. What happens normally, any software we wanted to enhance by having the updates. If the virus itself, while malicious software itself comes through the update, you don't know. You are getting it from genuine source, but it has come. So it happened in the solar wind software, Orion software, which is an NMS, which is actually entire many of the important organizations in US were depending on that. It attacked the things. It's a supply chain attack. And then now recently ransomware attacks are growing. That is, your data will be encrypted through that attack, and if you want your data back, you have to pay in bitcoins, and then only you will be given the key for software for decryption. But the colonial pipe attack happened in US. No, there is the attack happened. They paid also a few millions of dollars in terms of bitcoins, but whatever software they have given, it didn't work. They finally depended on the backup. So the best practices are very, very important. You should have the banks will definitely have a DR sites, disaster recovery sites. Over and above, the backup mechanism should be there. Even the backup should be into two different locations, near a disaster recovery site and remote disaster recovery site, and so on and so forth. And data centers should be higher level tiers so that they have maintained all best practices, for which they have to comply with the standards. ISMS best practices, ISO standards are there, like 27001, 27017 for cloud infrastructure, and similarly personal identification information standards are there. So we need to look at all these aspects. While GDPR is there for the European data protection regulation, Indian data protection regulation, Justice Sri Krishna Commission's recommendations are yet to be approved by the Parliament. Everyone is eagerly waiting for that. So these are all required for protecting our data, securing ourselves, and in a self-reliant India, if we want to have we work with integrity. In fact, I skipped to say there are three major things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It's called as a cybersecurity triad. Confidentiality, I already told you. If there is somebody overhearing, you have to maintain the privacy. So you need a privacy kind of a thing. Integrity is the thing that somebody sends the data which is fabricated, or some information is in between taken and modified and sent. What I have sent is not there. A to B, that is, Sarath is sending to Rajkumar something. It is not actually what I sent. It is intermediate changed, or somebody, in fact, fabricated by spoofing my name, my connection. So in these cases, there is a need for authentic integrity. So integrity checks we have to do. Integrity is how much important to the human being. For computing also, integrity is important. And we have solutions based on the digital certificates and public key infrastructure kind of things. We use a lot of there also we use encryption services. The integrity is definitely an important aspect in the thing. And today, latest technology, blockchain, I think all banking sector is closely working on blockchain based solutions. Though blockchain technology came for the cryptocurrency and bitcoins, but now people are looking for different banking applications, trust among the stakeholders, and making sure that in a distributed ledger, any change that happens unauthorized way, how to identify that. So all these things, new technologies are coming, like blockchain technologies. So there is a need for all of us to, one side, keep moving with the technology and learn, and other side, be careful. It is actually very interesting to see that there's a lot of analogy between COVID pandemic and cyber security. See, COVID pandemic, how it is actually the propagates. Cyber security also, virus worms, they propagate over the network. Once one system is infected, most of the systems in the network gets infected unless you break the chain. It's like in here also, you try to break the chain, containment zones and all you make. In the network also, you have to isolate the network part of it which has got affected. So same way, testing is very important, right? Without testing, you don't know how whether somebody has got COVID or no. So it's same thing. Testing should be done for the cybersecurity. Testing is a key thing. All our devices have to be tested. All our software have to be tested. And there is a vulnerability analysis and penetration testing. There are certain computer emergency response team of India certifies people who are authorized to do the testing. Right? People, organizations, many industries and many organizations are getting those certifications. In turn, they do the services testing. And hygiene has to be maintained. For hygiene, we use the a kind of thing, sanitizers and all that. The other side, and masks we use. For cyber security also, we should use firewalls, intrusion detection systems, etc., etc. So like that, for everything, there is an analogy between the COVID and cyber security. One key thing is the people is the weakest link in COVID. People are the weakest link in cyber security. So we need to train people, create awareness, and people can look at information security, education, and awareness side. Beautiful content in terms of brochures, posters, PDF content, lot of stories for children to see, and for the different classes, they have given the awareness program. Awareness is the key thing, and we need to be self-reliant in technology. We need to be self-reliant in terms of encouraging our scientific manpower, encouraging our technology peoples, encouraging our social sciences and humanities, which is considered not that important these days, because every child, when is born, is decided for a professional course, either an engineer or a doctor. It is not necessarily true that these are the two important things. There are many things through which the nation has to develop. And if you see today AI, people worry about many things, that it is biased. Most of the AI solutions are biased based on the region, religion, caste, creed, many things. Like we all have differences, even AI solutions probably have. So make sure that we should understand AI solutions, whether it is a responsible AI or it is just giving a solution which is not for us, it is for the Western community. So this is where technology side we have to be self-reliant, and we need to see that integrity that is required has to be done. Finally, we should be free from this cyber security attacks, and systems, everything should be available to us as and when we need. So availability is the key thing, which is actually we normally call as a denial of service attacks. That is, hackers will go on taking the services from the server without really needing, so that the server is occupied, and when actually I need a web server, it is busy doing nothing. And so I have to wait. I don't get the server availability to perform my action. So this denial of service or distributed denial of service attacks are also growing. So the confidentiality, integrity, availability kind of triad, and added to that the authentication of an individual, that he is the person who is actually talking to me, he is the person who is sending the information, and also non-repudiation. That is, I send something, I will say I have not sent, or somebody sends to me, he will say I have not sent. That repudiation should not be there. Non-repudiation solution should be there. They're all using some technologies or other they will do. So at the end, I just wanted to conclude telling that the technology is a definite today in digital India kind of, and globally we're all digitalized, and so even agriculture, health, education, rural energy, e-governance, say whatever, a lot of technology solutions based on that only we are working. So there is a need. When I say self-reliant today, I can always say that self-reliance happens when you have this reliance, your own. I will go one step. Make in India, or also made in India. Right? Self-reliance comes not only with make in India, made in India. That is, we should have a deterrence. Today we have a space programs highly successful. We have a defense program. We have our own missiles, thanks to great people like Satish Dhawan, Dr. Kalam, and great people, and thanks to Sam Petroda, who has created telecom revolution, where we had difficulty even getting the imports. Thanks to Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar, who is responsible for creating our own supercomputer. The deterrence that we can do itself brought the prices down by the international vendors. The line cost, which was 11,000, the day C-Dot Telecom Exchange has come, it has come down to 6,000 rupees on those days. So this is the kind of a thing we need. It is not only that you do everything. Yes, globally we all should be connected. We should do. But at the same time, we need to look at the possibility of having, if denied any day technology denial happens, we must be in a position to have our own way, because without technology we can't move easily, because we are so much dependent on a day-to-day our activities for good things, right? So we need to look at and see that we also restrict the bad things that happen, like hackers attacking and so on and so forth. I just took cybersecurity as an example. I could have taken any technology example, because I have, Madam has given a very good social cause, and how our leaders were in pre-independence and even today's regime. So that kind of a thing really, it's very knowledgeable and learning for me too, even though I keep hearing. But today, I really, it is, she has given a very capsule of knowledge about self-reliance and integrity. And I do hope that my talk has gone in different directions within the technology thing. That is where I am reasonably good. So I try to stick to that. I do hope that the organizers find it useful to some extent. With this, I once again take this opportunity to thank the Hindu Tamil Thisai and Indian Bank for ably conducting during this Vigilance Week this interesting event, and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you all. Thank you. Thanks to all participants and the teams from both the organizations, and Madam for her excellent talk, and the Executive Director, Shanai Vishwanath, for all their nice talks. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Sir, thank you very much that you have dwelled upon cyber attacks, social engineering attacks, and rightly said, integrity will be digital. It is 1 or 0. It cannot be between. Fantastically said during the Vigilance Awareness Week, where integrity, self-reliance, and integrity is the theme of this year. So it is not only hitting the cities but also hitting the rurals. And if you want to be, cyber attacks should not happen. Cyber awareness should be available to all the people around us, among us, and so on. And rightly said, weak link and strong link for cyber security is the people around us. And I'm sure, like this, awareness programs not only need to be done during the Vigilance Awareness Week, but also 365 days by in different forums, different messages in different platforms will only keep us more security than chasing awareness. Correctly paralyzed that COVID and cyber are have to be masked properly. I'm sure this event will throw light to a lot of us, and I would want to thank the Indian Bank for organizing, giving us a chance to organizing this, and I would want to have the views from the Indian Bank Executive Director there. Sir, if any views you have on this note, please share, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Sadbabu. I think it was a long, briefing on the precautions that bank has to take and the people, mainly the customers, should take. We do agree we cannot live without technology. And in the days to come, there will be further, penetration of the digital technology which is going on. And even the banks are focusing on that because it's the ease of doing business, which each and every individual, and mainly the generation, new millennials, they will not prefer to enter a branch. They prefer to do all the transactions to the mobile. But only thing is that, we have to take the precautions. We have to ensure that we don't share our passwords. We don't come under this false emails, and we give our credentials so that the hackers can swindle the money from our account. We also ensure that in the case of ATMs nowadays, the man-in-middle attacks are taking place. So we are ensuring that there is a protection wherein the man-in-middle attack can be prevented, so that either at the junction level or at the ATM level, he'll be able to access the system. Secondly, we do agree, bank is all the banks for that matter, because we are the custodians of the money, and any single attack can result into crores of losses of the bank. We are taking precautions. We are ensuring that our core is away. It's not even in the what's a cloud. We see that no one is able to access the core directly. So firewalls are there. Even we don't allow this use of our pen drives, so that the bugs can take place, or the malwares can be activated. So we also taken precautions that our near site, that we had a primary site and the DR site, is well, spread over. So that in case one goes down, we can immediately activate the other one, so that the services to the customers, it doesn't get affected. Secondly, I do agree the CIA, which you had told regarding the confidentiality of the information, the integrity of the data, and the validity of the information hasn't been required. We give a lot of importance to all these aspects. We also ensure that the DDoS attacks are getting minimized. We see that we don't fall prey to it, and any such our CISO team is very alert. If any such things are happening, they take immediate precautions. Secondly, in order to educate the customers, as well as to educate mainly our internal customers in the initial place, we do send the mails, so that phishing mails, so that we see whether our staff members knowingly or unknowingly opens it, because what our intention is, they should not open it, so that they get aware of all these pitfalls in case they click it wrongly. And we now have sessions wherein we continuously update our team members about the latest that is happening in the security world, so that we keep ourselves abreast. And we also, at the branch level, give the required adequate information to the customers, so that they don't fall prey to this attacks, malware attacks. Thank you for enlightening us with your detailed insights. It was helpful to all of us. Thank you.
So that was a wonderful concluding remark from you, sir. I would want to thank both our guests today on behalf of the Indian Bank and the Hindu Tamil Thisai for having a nationwide opportunity to add this. And this is a repository will be available in the Hindu's web YouTube always. And I'm sure we will replay this time and again to bring in the facts that has been put forth by the bank, Madam Justice Vimla, and Dr. Sharath. These are golden rules and golden talk that will only cherish in our minds, and we will definitely take the YouTube links and give it to whatever possible media that we would be able to pressure out, and see that a lot of people get more awareness, not only during this Vigilance Week, but also beyond the Vigilance Week. Sir, thank you very much for this opportunity. Once again, thank you, madam, for giving this wonderful, enlightening speech. Thank you, Dr. Sharath, for giving this. And once again, kudos to the entire back-end team at the Vigilance Office headquarters at Chennai for putting this right from Sahu, Muralidharan, Venkatachalam, and if I were to name, the list will go on. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.